Welcome to the Gain Momentum podcast, focusing on timeless lessons from global industry leaders about how to grow and scale a business in hospitality, travel, food service, and technology. I'm Jason Emanis, and I'm here with my co-host, Adam Mogelonsky. How are you, sir?
Doing great.
Our guest today is David Millili, the co-founder of Gain, Growth Advisors International Network, as well as the CEO of LodgIQ. Adam, what are we talking about today?
Well, we have a condensed format that takes it down to 4 questions that have timeless lessons for pretty much anybody trying to gain scale on a business. And it can be applied anywhere, and we really want some good answers out of these. So we're going right into it with the first one. David, when it comes to scaling a business, what is the single piece of advice you would give entrepreneurs from your perspective as a professional in travel and hospitality?
Yeah, number one is hire people that are smarter than you. Surround yourself with people that are better than you that will help you scale that business. A lot of people get nervous when they're not the smartest person in the room. And I happen to like that because the people that I surround myself with help elevate me. And we can't all be subject matter experts on everything. So getting those good people is really key.
How do you find those smart people?
Well, you got to have a little bit of, gut instinct, but you got to look at where they've worked, who they've worked with, their background. It's always good, especially when you're interviewing people, if you already have a couple good, close people to you, to open up that interview process. So when I've had companies, I've never been the only person who interviews somebody. Even if it was going to be somebody who was running my sales team reporting directly to me, I would have others in the organization, maybe a VP of technology, interview that person, just say, what do you think? What do you feel? Because as you do that, you start to, you build a community when you build a company. And as you do that, the people around you will start to know, who's going to, gel with them, who's going to work with them well. And that's what I like to do. I mean, I really think that the more people that can interview somebody, it doesn't have to be long. It can be, 30-minute interviews.
Do you see like founders and leaders actually? We've all heard this for years. Hire people smarter than you. Do you actually see people not doing that, refraining from that?
100%. Ton of people. Couple things. Just because you're a founder doesn't make you a CEO or a leader. And a lot of times people forget that. They think just because it was their idea and it's their company and their business. I've seen many, many CEOs, founders who surround themselves sometimes with friends, or they have, they're somebody they know who do the books. And then when they go to try to raise capital, the books are a mess because they didn't get the right finance person. One of the biggest mistakes hospitality tech companies make is they just go find a hotel salesperson and hire that person because they think they know the industry. Being a director of sales and selling a SaaS-based product is completely different. So yeah, I've seen, unfortunately, many, many people who have, really micromanaged, and they really want the people that they feel like I'm the boss and you report to me. And that usually doesn't work.
Well, actually, that brings it right into our second question. What are some of the common pitfalls or failures you have witnessed that business owners should look to avoid when scaling a business? And you already half answered that, but please let's drill into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it's a combination of many things, but, making sure that you're not going cheap on sales and marketing, making sure that on your tech side, you've got a good blend of old and new. And by that, I mean, sometimes it's really good to have a seasoned CTO or somebody running your tech team. But you also want that young group of people who are more immersed in that emerging technology to help you make sure you're positioned for growth. And then, one of the biggest mistakes I always see people that are successful is like I said earlier, they fail on that finance side. I advised a company in an M&A. They were getting acquired by a larger company and was told, oh yeah, I'll make up the name. Bob was doing our books. They're great. And I said, let me get my person to come in and take a look. And she's like, nope, you'll never pass due diligence. This is a mess. It's a disaster. I need 30 days. I'll clean it up. And she did, and we got the deal done. But the CEO was kind of oblivious to the fact that his books were a total mess. Another founder, I brought in the same person to do kind of a forensic, and she found about $10,000 worth of billings that weren't being billed on a monthly basis.
Wow.
You mentioned earlier about underspending on sales and marketing. How does a company know that they're underspending?
The market will tell you what a good salesperson should be making. So that's the easy one. The marketing one's more difficult. And usually the marketing one is where they don't spend. You need to spend the money or focus on it. So if you got somebody internally, especially now with LinkedIn, who can really work LinkedIn and help you, you've got a good writer on staff, there's ways you can figure out the marketing on a low budget as a startup. But a lot of these companies, they just focus on the sales and they don't really position their company in a manner where hotels understand what the product is, what it does, and understands what it means to them, the value. And hoteliers don't like to buy from companies they don't know. So you have to have some sort of marketing message out there in the marketplace.
You had mentioned, well, you didn't mention product development. And in my experience, product development, product management is really becomes an issue. You can only hold on for so long. And then you've got to bring somebody in that's got some real world, most likely big company or bigger company experience, or you really run into problems.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so I'm thinking more, as I look at startups, it's always really difficult to justify a dedicated product person early on. But I definitely agree with you, as you scale and grow, you definitely have to put that effort into the product and get somebody who understands that. One of the most important things too is to make sure that product person isn't siloed and isn't on their own trying and assuming what the customer wants. That collaboration between sales and product, if it's not tight, you're in big trouble because, again, I won't mention a company, but I had a company I was working with and I had a head engineer show me systems that he had built. And when I said, well, who did you build them for? He says, well, we built them for a certain type of hotel. And I said, well, are we selling to those hotels? No, not yet, but we thought it would be good. And I said, is anybody using it? No. I said, but your core product has got gaps, but you've built a whole nother system just in case a 2-star hotel wants to use something. So yeah, product. Yeah, I agree with you. Product is definitely, but it's a little bit more of an evolution than the early days when the sales and marketing are really kind of the drivers to get you to where you can afford that product person.
Well, going right into it, you talk about product evolution, and the key two words I picked up there were not yet. And that's a huge thing. So our third question on that, totally segueing right in, is what do you see as the key opportunities and challenges for travel and hospitality companies in 2023 and beyond?
So a couple things. One, the industry right now and on the sales side and marketing is a little bit spoiled because of LinkedIn. Yeah. I was joking around with someone, we used to have to call hotels and ask, what's a GM's name? They didn't have email addresses. We have to mail brochures. So all that information is right there. What I think has to happen is that a lot of the next generation salespeople have to realize that email cadences aren't really a very effective tool when it comes to hospitality and people that are working in these hotels. Somebody getting 4 or 5 emails over a 6-day period is not the way to get to them. Hoteliers are much more about personalization, understanding who they are. And right now, our job on the other side of the hotel is educating them and showing them the value of utilizing these new technologies that are out there. I mean, you think about it, how many hotels are using mobile key? How many hotels are using text messaging? How many hotels are using e-tipping or cashless tipping? It's mind-blowing that we're starting to approach the midway point, high tech's around the corner, and you still have the vast majority of hotels who aren't adopting technologies that not only improve the efficiency of their staff, but actually improves the guest experience.
Why do you think that is? We hear that all the time.
I think right now versus, say, when I got into technology around 2000 and the internet was just taking off, there's so much noise right now. There's so many, cloud PMS, CRS, channel managers, digital marketing, all the things that I listed. And then you've got the layers, so I always tell my teams that you're not just selling against whatever our competitors, you're selling against everybody else who's selling in to that same person. Hotels are tough because a lot of times you've got ownership groups, management companies, and you've got to get budget. a lot of times the owners don't really know what the property is going through, so they don't see value in adding. Why am I going to spend for mobile key? Regular key works fine. It's in the hotel. Just use it. Why do I need text messaging? Guests can pick up the phone and call. Why do I need cashless tipping? They can go to an ATM, get some money, get change at the front desk. So a lot of times they talk themselves into why, they shouldn't be spending money on these technologies. But yet you have the extremes where you have some hotels that are just all in and spending the money and doing it the right way. And I won't name the brand, but I had a long flight from Phoenix to London, and it was a kiosk check-in. It was seamless. I credit card, ID, got my key, got in my room in about 3 minutes, and got right to the bar. And that's exactly what I wanted, because I just had a long flight. I wanted to sit down. I want to talk to the bartender. Great conversation. It was fantastic. I didn't need to talk to somebody at the front desk. I didn't need the typical, are you checking in? Can I have your credit card? Can I have your ID? It's like, I know the drill. So I think hotels, they're just inundated right now with a lot of different choices. And again, the companies that will succeed will be the ones who can kind of cut through that noise and really show the value of their solution.
Speaking of being inundated, how would you advise hotels to cut through the noise and really evaluate and find the best fit solutions for their individual properties or their brand?
Well, look, if you're a good general manager, good front office manager, good head of housekeeping, you know what the problems are. So think about it. When you want something, you think, oh, I need this or that, you go to Amazon, boom, you find it. How many times have you gone to Amazon and not found what you were looking for? So all the stuff's out there that can solve these challenges and these problems for all those departments I mentioned. And they need to identify the problem and then go look for the solution. Or when that inbound solicitation comes in, they need to at least do some due diligence on that. But again, hotels are a different beast. When a hotel opens, they throw away the key, and it's open 24/7, 365. So identifying the problem is the big key for the hotels.
And how would a hotel step outside of their own box to find that problem so they know what they really need to focus on?
Well, again, I go down to it's leadership. A hotel is a business at the end of the day. The leaders in that hotel, just like any business, need to identify where the issues are and solve them, because, a couple things. We already have a labor shortage. So if we're not doing things to improve work conditions or efficiencies, you're going to have problems. You're going to be a hotel that suffers. And then if you're a hotel that's not adopting, technologies that guests want, you're going to lose a competitive advantage. And guests are going to more and more start looking for hotels that provide them with the technology they want. They're going to want the ability to do a kiosk. They're going to want text messaging. I was pitching a couple years ago to a brand, and the guy said, he said, it was so funny. We went on vacation, and my 7-year-old daughter walked into the hotel room and said, Alexa, turn on the lights. And he was like, no, honey, that's not in the room. But the generation, you look at the kids now, they don't want to talk to anyone. They want to text. Now they don't even want to text. They want to do a voice recording. So the leadership really has to step up in that area.
Wow. This is all, it's all great. And it's tough to really decide for technology. And to bring it back to the timeless nature of this podcast is our fourth question. What are the key things innovative leaders and entrepreneurs should prioritize and focus on to gain traction for their business?
That's a great question. Look, you have to understand the market you're selling into. You have to be willing to learn. So one of the great things about Gain is that we're there to assist technology companies in some cases, in other cases, private equity or venture capital, in helping those hotels learn how to do things and not make the same mistakes that some of us older folks have made in our careers. So I think the key there is really just making sure that you're in tune. You take a step back, you look at your business, you look at your financials, you look at your numbers, communicate with your team. Like I tell people on my team, the worst thing that can happen is not me saying no if you want something. The worst thing that can happen is you not asking for something and me would have said yes. because a lot of times people need stuff in their jobs or their positions, and they just don't ask for it because they're afraid to get shot down. And as leaders and as, whatever position you're in, you should be asking for those tools that will help you succeed.
It's interesting. How can you as a leader cultivate an organization where people feel empowered to ask those questions?
Well, you got to let them know it's okay. I mean, you got to tell them, hey, if you need something, let me know. Hey, if you're struggling, let me know. And then sometimes you just have to know the people and you have to ask those questions. It's just like in any relationship. I mean, your employees, your coworkers, it's a relationship. It's just like family, you notice somebody, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I don't see emails from this person or this person's not on Slack. You got to say, hey, everything okay? And then you might find out, something happened in the family or this or that. So for me, everyone's got different leadership styles. And my style is much more of a collaborative, roll your sleeves up, get alongside my team members and work with them, but make sure that they know that, hey, if you got to talk about something, you're struggling or, you're not going to hit your numbers this month. You're a salesperson. Don't avoid me. Let me know. Tell me what you did. Tell me the effort. Let's talk about how we change. Sometimes it's just collaboration. I'll stick on the sales front, but sometimes it's just getting the salespeople all together and just saying, okay, hey, what's working for you? Oh, great. Are you doing that? No. Okay. What's working for you, and sharing those ideas. But I think as leaders, as advisors, as husbands or as brothers or parents, that is what you really need to do, to talk to people and let them know, hey, let's have a conversation. Let me help you figure out how we make this better.
A lot of founders aren't salespeople, and I've seen them struggle to have that relationship. I don't know. I mean, you see that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen all flavors when it comes to founders. I mean, I've been one myself. I've had co-founders who were partners with me. But yeah, I mean, but again, that goes back to earlier on. I mean, you need to know who you are and then surround yourself with people that are good at what you're not good at. So I can read any financial model. I can tell you where there's a mistake, something doesn't look right. You're spending too much money here, not spending much money there. But if you say, hey, David, go build me an elaborate, financial model, I could do it. I'm going to struggle. It's going to take me 5 times as long as somebody who does that. So I think, again, we kind of touched on it earlier on, but that's one of the issues with founders. I mean, they don't want to know their baby's ugly. Their product's the best, but they don't understand why people aren't buying it, and they get pissed off at the salespeople because they're not hitting their numbers. But a lot of that goes back to, when you think about it, it's that founder not listening to the team or to the marketplace or to what's really going on.
Listening. Well, David, it's been short but sweet, and I loved every single word. These are really important lessons for anyone. They should really, really pay attention to it. And we could have gone on for a full hour drilling down to examples, but it's been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for coming on board.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the Gain Momentum podcast. To stay up to date, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about Gain Advisors, head to gainadvisors.com.